So wanted to understand, when do you hire an HR, and what kind of an HR would you hire?
I think HR has been there from very early days for us as a company. So, because if you're growing, then you need HR. HR's primary role then ends up being mostly on the recruitment side and driving a lot of the growth of the company, right? Because you need people to be able to drive the growth of the company. So, they end up doing a lot of that. But then as the company becomes larger, say 30, 40 member team, or then when it becomes a 80, 100 member team, and then when it becomes a 200 member team, the role of HR also keeps evolving, right? So, while recruitment continues to be part of it, then setting systems, processes, statutory compliance, then it becomes more process oriented. And then eventually it becomes into enough number of people. So, to have a performance evaluation system for them, setting the entire year, and then also be able to handle grievances and all that. So, I think the role of HR just keeps changing. So, it may start off as a pure recruitment part, but I think HR, I have had HR from very early days. Not that once we became a 30, 40, 50 member team.
So, as in follow-up question to that, Sudarshan, I wanted to understand. So, let's say, so when you hired an HR, right? So, basically, what I believe at least is that you need somebody who has done the entire function to be able to handhold and direct this person, if not full time, but at least fractionally. Suddenly, let's say, for me, when I'm a sales guy, when I hire an HR, what happens is that whatever they tells becomes my version of truth as well. I actually don't know whether that is. So if I don't know what that is, I know what is HR at a high level, but then when I don't know what is HR, then what do I do? How do I manage this person? Because this person is going to come and tell me, boss, this is what is a portal you should use, this is the cost it will cost you, and this is what it is, this is how things happen in the industry. And then you are at the mercy of that person telling you what to do, how to do. So how do you handle that?
I think this is the case with every function. So it's not just HR. I know you come from an HR background, but a marketing guy will come and say, "Ki, this is how the tool that is to be used. This is the advertising platform to be used. This is the advertising tool to be used." An operations person will come and say, "This is the backend commerce engine to be used. This is the software. This is the team. This is the distribution mechanism." So what you're talking about is something that every founder goes through in every function, not just in HR. So I think we all have our own ways and to figure out where I mean, budget officially, usually budget helps us to really clear out कि ये तो कर ही नहीं सकते. So process of elimination is usually much easier than process of
Absolutely.
identification. Elimination is usually faster than identification. So, but having said that, this is a problem statement for founder in every single function. So, that's where we as founders are also trying to solve for it every single time based on somewhere intuitive sense, somewhere common sense, and some most often first principles that okay, if this is something I don't understand, let me just sit, try to just build it up from scratch and see whether this makes sense for me. And often two or three times questioning and sending them back, and finally just calling up two, three people in that space and say, yeah, does this make sense? Is this what is used? Usually within that, it becomes a solution. I mean, if it's a very small thing, then you wouldn't go through this process. But if it's a very big budget, or if it's a key thing that will influence, say for example, you're changing a payroll provider, then you would do that level of research and close it there. So,
Hmm.
so the problem statement you're talking about is not limited to HR. It is just a generic thing in every single function we face.